Our Hall of Fame quarterback Steve Young joins us now for some perspective on Andrew Luck's retirement. I remember when you retired in the 49ers locker room when you thought it was time to say goodbye to the game, and I imagine you can relate to how he agonized over his decision today.
Yeah, Kenny, this is a tough one, right? Because, we expect now our star, iconic quarterbacks to play into their 40s, right? That's the new normal. And so when somebody does it prematurely in our minds, it feels like a shock. But we haven't lived his life of pain over the last 4 years. And anyone, I was very lucky. I didn't have, my body kind of responded, and I never had any of these kind of lingering things. I didn't live in pain. And so that's not something I can't really relate to. But I know people who did, and it is something that you don't want to experience. And so to me, obviously, he got to a place, a pain threshold, where he said, you know what, I don't want to live this way. And he's a very mature, thoughtful guy. And he says, I got to do this for the next 50 years, 60 years. I want it to be high-quality years. And he obviously felt like it was time to go.
Is it something players talk about? Is it something players try to just keep to themselves? Because as you age and as you've gone through, his list is so long of the injuries, that is it something you share with your teammates about when you're going to make that type of decision?
Yeah, as you get older, there's no question. I mean, as you get over 30 and your body's not responding as fast, and yeah. But when you really talk about it, Kenny, is usually when you're out of the game and you think back, my gosh, what have I done to myself? And so I think he's just somebody that clearly felt like I don't want to live this way. And he did mention that it was like a psychological thing too. And you got to remember who he really is. He's the only quarterback, Kenny, that I've ever that in the last 25 years that I've been around, or 30, that I knew was going to be a great quarterback in the NFL coming out of college. You're never sure. You think but Andrew was the one guy. And then he stood up against a torrent of he got very little help for half a dozen years or more. And he just took a beating, unlike anyone else who played, really. And he just stood in there, and his body just broke down as he continued to just take that beating. And I think that you can't, when you haven't walked in his shoes, you don't know how much of a beating that really was. But if I think back, those young years of his life, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how much of a toll he's taken. He never flinched. This is a guy that never flinched. He took on every ounce of it, never complained, never said a word, just stood in there. And so, you have to remember that's who he is. And so as he leaves the game, you have to tip your cap and respect who he was when he started and how he's done it at the end here. He is an incredible warrior.
Well, he's got a whole bunch of years to do something as remarkable as what he already did in the NFL. Steve Young, thanks for joining us.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports, more analysis, download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+. We'll see you there.